The envelope landed on Daniel Carter's desk with the kind of quiet finality that made his stomach tighten. Inside was the bonus he had worked an entire year to earn, but when he unfolded the paper, his eyes froze. The amount had been cut in half. Not because he had failed. Not because his performance had dropped. In fact, his department had just completed its biggest project of the year ahead of schedule, saving the company millions. Daniel stared at the number, then at the signature at the bottom, wondering how he was going to explain it to his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, who had been counting the days until he could finally afford the new school shoes she needed. He had promised her that this bonus would make things easier. Now, that promise felt like another bill he could not pay. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one good person can change another person's life, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to you. Daniel was a single father, but he rarely allowed himself to think of his life that way. He simply thought of himself as Lily's dad. Every morning, he packed her lunch, checked her homework, and walked her to the bus stop before catching the train into the city. Every evening, no matter how exhausted he was, he came home with enough energy to listen to Lily tell him about her day. Her mother had left years earlier, and Daniel had learned to carry every responsibility without complaining. He had missed birthdays, promotions, vacations, and countless nights of sleep, but he never missed the moments that mattered to his daughter. At the company, Daniel was known as the man who solved problems nobody else wanted to touch. He stayed late when deadlines were impossible, helped younger employees learn the system, and once spent an entire weekend fixing a major financial error that could have cost the company millions. He never asked for praise. He believed that doing good work was something a person should be proud of even when nobody was watching. But the new CEO, Victoria Hale, had never looked at Daniel that way. To her, employees were numbers on spreadsheets. Bonuses were expenses. Compassion was weakness. During the meeting, she had praised the department for its success, then calmly announced that Daniel's bonus would be reduced by 50%. She claimed the company needed to control costs and that everyone should be grateful to receive anything at all. Daniel stood there silently, holding the envelope, while executives around the table avoided his eyes. What hurt most was not the money. It was the humiliation. He walked out of the conference room carrying the same old leather briefcase he had owned for nearly a decade. As he approached the elevator, he stopped beside the window and looked down at the city. Somewhere below, thousands of people were rushing through the same streets, fighting battles nobody else could see. Daniel closed his eyes and thought about Lily sitting at the kitchen table that morning, proudly showing him the picture she had drawn of their little family. She had colored his shirt blue because she said blue was the color of heroes. For the first time in years, Daniel wondered whether being responsible and loyal had been a mistake. The elevator doors opened. Daniel stepped inside. Then someone called his name. He turned and saw Evelyn Grant standing several feet away. She was the founder and CEO of Grant Industries, the company's biggest competitor and Victoria Hale's fiercest rival. Everyone in the building knew Evelyn. She was brilliant, demanding, and famous for taking companies apart and rebuilding them stronger. She had also spent years fighting Victoria in the business world. Evelyn looked at the envelope in Daniel's hand, then at his tired face. She did not ask for gossip. She simply asked whether the amount written inside was what he had been promised. Daniel hesitated before admitting that it was only half of what he had earned. Something changed in Evelyn's expression. She had heard his name before. Her team had been trying for months to recruit someone who understood the company's complicated operations as well as Daniel did. She had also heard that Daniel had saved a multi-million-dollar project and received almost no recognition for it. Instead of offering him sympathy, Evelyn offered him something much more valuable. A choice. She told Daniel that Grant Industries had an opening for a senior operations manager, with a salary substantially higher than his current one, full benefits, and a bonus structure based on actual performance. She said she had not come looking for him that day, but after seeing how his employer had treated him, she was certain she did not want to lose the opportunity to bring someone like him onto her team. Daniel could hardly process what he was hearing. He looked back at the office where he had spent nearly 6 years proving himself. He remembered every late night, every sacrificed weekend, every time he had chosen loyalty over opportunity. Then he looked at Evelyn and realized something painful. Sometimes a closed door was not punishment. Sometimes it was an invitation to stop knocking. Daniel accepted the offer. By the end of the week, word had spread throughout the company. The single father whose bonus had been cut in half had been hired by the one person Victoria Hale least wanted to see succeed. Employees whispered that Evelyn had offered him more than double his old compensation package. But what mattered most to Daniel was not the salary. It was the respect. On his first morning at Grant Industries, Daniel arrived early, nervous and uncertain. Evelyn met him personally at the entrance and introduced him to his new team. Instead of treating him like a replaceable employee, she asked him to help build a department where hardworking people would never have to beg to be recognized. Months passed, and Daniel transformed the struggling operations division. He introduced simple systems that saved time, trained young employees who had been overlooked, and helped the company win a major contract. But every evening, he still went home to Lily. One Friday night, he placed a small box on the kitchen table. Lily opened it and found the school shoes she had been waiting for. Her face lit up, and she hugged her father so tightly that he almost cried. Daniel realized then that the greatest victory was not defeating Victoria Hale. It was finally understanding his own worth. Meanwhile, across the city, Victoria stared at the resignation letter on her desk. Daniel's departure had triggered problems she never expected. 2 other talented employees had followed him. A major project was behind schedule. Clients were asking questions. And for the first time, Victoria was forced to confront a truth she had spent years avoiding. People do not give their best to a company simply because they are paid. They give their best when they feel valued. Daniel never celebrated Victoria's failure. He simply moved forward. Years later, he would still remember the elevator doors opening that afternoon. He would remember holding that disappointing bonus envelope and believing his future had just become smaller. He would remember Evelyn standing in the hallway and offering him a second chance when he felt like nobody saw his value. Sometimes life changes in the few seconds between one door closing and another opening. Daniel had entered that elevator believing he had lost half of his worth. He walked out realizing his worth had never been determined by a paycheck. And perhaps that is the lesson we all need to remember: when someone undervalues you, it does not mean you are worth less. Sometimes it simply means you are standing in the wrong room. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel. Every interaction helps these stories reach someone who might be quietly struggling and waiting for their own second chance. Before the story ends, comment, "I believe in second chances," if you believe that kindness, courage, and recognizing someone's worth can completely change a life. Daniel never forgot that day. Not because someone cut his bonus in half, but because, before he even reached the elevator, someone else reminded him that his future was worth far more than the number written on a piece of paper.